I'm running unopposed here in Paulding County. I'm going to weigh in where I can and where it's necessary and where you have specific questions to me. But Mr. Wood's come a long way, and he spent a lot of time on the road, and I want to give him enough time to get this out and discuss where the state school board sees things going.
At this time, okay. Well, appreciate it again. Thank y'all for coming out today, and again to the ladies of Paulding County. Again, appreciate your hospitality. But as stated, I've been now your superintendent for going on 8 years. A lot has happened, especially within the past couple of years. Something called COVID-19 has definitely caused a little bit of interruption with that. But education continued to move forward. I think that we definitely found there were good things and there were bad things that we were able to see what was going on. And I think that, looking back, what we have found out is that, there is a need that we always have to be focused on in making sure that we keep our kids safe and we protect our kids. That's first and foremost of what goes on. And trying to look at this, I'm kind of move from maybe a back end to where I normally talk and kind of move into the front, so it's a little bit reverse. But I think about this past legislative session, and I think one of the things we found out is that yes, we need to make sure that we are looking at what's going on in our kids' education to make sure it is protected. About this time last year, I was the first candidate or first statewide elected official to come out against critical race theory in the state of Georgia. I began to look inside the department to make sure were there any things that we needed to do to adjust that. We looked at our standards. We looked at how we trained our teachers. We looked at money that was coming into the state to make sure there was no quantifiers there, in other words, if we took X, we would have to do this. And I think that as we began to look at that, what I firmly believe that what I needed was that we had to have legislation as well. That's something that so that everyone in the state, every school system could not waive anything. They could not dismiss anything, any policies, which again a lot have, especially if they're a charter-based institution. And so we began to work with the governor's office and the members of the General Assembly. And because of that, we had roughly 3 bills that came out that were very strong. One, 1084, again, which is the anti, I guess CRT bill or the divisive language bill. And we'll talk more about what that involves, but again, it makes sure that we're focusing on what we need to focus on, that we don't discriminate, and that's important. I think people need to look at that because we still talk about things that perhaps are uncomfortable about our nation's history, whether it's slavery, Jim Crow, the Trail of Tears, or anything like that. So, we have to begin to look at that and make sure that we push that forward. We're looking at indecent materials, and so to make sure that those are things that we look at to protect our kids, that they are not exposed to things that's inappropriate. And so we want to continue to push that. And again, that was one of the bills that passed in the Parental Bill of Rights. So those are things we look at, and it's not giving parents rights, but it reaffirms the parents' authority to control their child's education. So those are big things that we put forward with that, and we look forward to discussing maybe those a little bit in detail throughout the day.
So I just wanted to give you guys a little overview of this school district. So as the chairman of this board and as the Board of Education as a whole, Paulding County has 7 Republicans on the board. We have arguably one of the most conservative school boards in the state. We believe in school choice, parents' choice. We believe in not discriminating based on race, religion, all the things that kids shouldn't have to worry about, as Jim said. So it's important for us to have the backing of the state school board helping with that mission, and that we're all in a common goal together, which is to keep our kids moving in the right direction without having to deal with all of this noise of the politics of the world out there. Our enrollment as of March, we're the 11th largest school district in the state of Georgia. We have 30,915 students. We expect to grow next year 2.8% to 31,778. Our graduation data for 2021, we have exceeded the statewide average for the past 11 years. It's 89.3% for a 4-year graduation rate compared to the statewide average of 83.7. That gives us about a 5.5% gain on the state average. Of our 23 school districts in Georgia with more than 1,000 graduates, our graduation rate is ranked 8th highest, and but we're only 14th in per pupil cost. So we educate our kids and graduate them for a lot less money than a lot of other school districts do in the state. The graduation rate for students with us for all 4 years was 91.2%. So if they started as a freshman, ended as a senior, we're above 90%. Class size ratios, teachers to students, so there were some questions about that earlier in the year. Kindergarten is 21-1. 1st through 3rd grade is 22-1. 4th through 8th grade is 28-1. And 9th through 12th grade is 22-1. Steve Barnett would hang me out to dry if I didn't say the next thing. We are a low wealth school district. The QBE, we rely heavily on QBE and equalization from the state to make our budget in the county. That's why we have to do more with less. We're typically considered a bedroom community. We're about $2.1 billion light on commercial tax digest revenue in the state, I'm sorry, in Paulding County. That puts us at a significant disadvantage to our neighboring counties with regard to cost per pupil, and it makes the tax burden on the homeowner a bit higher. I love to hear all the commissioners and the folks that are running for office say economic development needs to come to Paulding County. I spent 2.5 years on the IBA, Industrial Building Authority, helping work those problems to try to bring growth to the county. I spent the same amount of time on the Airport Authority. There are a lot of options that we have as a county to drive that type of revenue while still maintaining the home feeling that we have in this county. That was primarily the reason I got involved, is because I saw a need and I saw that I could contribute in a meaningful way, and we're trying to my goal is to have every department in Paulding County working together on a regular basis, communicating and doing the things that we need to do so that everybody has a line of sight to the problems that all of these departments, particularly our school district, have as a result of revenue. Secondary to that, we petitioned the Board of Commissioners. They voted on it a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have a seat, the school board's going to have a voting seat on the Planning and Development board here, and I think zoning's coming next. I think there's some work that they still have to do with that. But bottom line, Martin's bill got everybody talking, and we're trying to figure out a way to provide solutions to those issues that he brought up.